Okay, I'm Joanna with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching. We're here with another sleep success story. We have Christian here who has a 9-month-old baby boy that we just finished coaching with. So we're super excited. So Christian, tell me what life looked like before calling me. Like, what was the sleep situation?
Yeah. It was co-sleeping. We didn't start that way, but that's how it kind of ended up before we reached out to you. My wife had a nurse all night long. He would wake up a lot. He was fussy, irritable, moving around all night. I mean, it was really a challenge just to even keep him asleep, even for an hour. And so nobody was getting sleep.
Yeah, so it was just like he was tossing and turning between the two of you guys all night. So
Yep.
even though you guys were like providing him everything, like
Right.
nursing all night long, co-sleeping all night long
Yep.
with both parents, he was like,
Yeah.
doing like infinity signs all night long.
All night long. Yeah. The other thing is that in the daytime, then he would have this incredible amount of energy, but it was never a positive energy. I mean, he was still a fun, loving baby, but he just was, you could tell he was wired and tired.
Yeah.
And it was super challenging to do anything. I mean, without like being right there with him, just to kind of entertain him because he needed more attention.
You need more attention. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. And so what made you decide to reach out for help? Like, did you hear about me? Did you like Google me? Like what, or did you even know that the sleep coach is available? Like what brought you, because you were the one that did the research. So
I did. Yeah. So I had talked to friends. They had mentioned sleep coaches in general. And so I did some research and we actually met a few before we decided to go with you. And it was really just getting my wife to the point where she was comfortable with it. And we also wanted a method that was gentle. And so, the Sleep Lady Shuffle, we had read the book and I'd been talking to my wife. I think once we started to notice that the crutches that we were providing him weren't working anymore, she started to get more on board. And then when we found you, we're like, okay, this makes the most sense for us.
Yes. So first of all, I love the fact that the dad is researching. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I always agree that it's a great idea to talk to multiple coaches. I think it's super important when you're looking for a coach. You really want to find the right coach that's going to meet kind of the value and the methodology that seem most appropriate for your family and what your desires are, but also to like understand exactly what you're going to get inside the sleep support, like in your particular situation, your wife was coming kind of like a little bit behind you in her readiness, and so we as kind of, the team of 3 that we formed really needed to give mom a lot of opportunity to talk about her feelings, to talk about what her concerns were, to have, dad to really understand where she was coming from and how we can massage the sleep plan to accommodate where she is. And that's so important to have the time to talk it out.
Right.
As a family of 3, as a team of 3, me and both parents, because the more readiness the mother has, the more successful the family can be in coaching.
Yep.
So that's amazing. And so what was it like then going through the process with me? Like, where did you feel supported? Where did you feel like, because you had done a lot of research and talked to a lot of coaches, like what made working with me meet your expectations?
Well, the reason we chose you and what made this an easy transition is how much work you've done in to sort of prepare your system. Like, I mean, it's not just about, we could have tried doing the Sleep Lady Shuffle and read the book, but I don't think there's no way looking back that we would have felt prepared. No. And so it's the way you explain things, the science behind it, really understanding that, he's not sad. He's not crying because he is sad. He's not just crying for no reason. I mean, there's a reason behind it and it's not what we thought it was. And so that was comforting. And I think that was really what got her to feel comfortable with you, is like really the way you explain that. And then your system is laid out in a way that it's really clear what's going to happen. I think, going into this, I think it's more rewarding than we expected, but it's also more challenging too, because when you're in it and you're in the room and it's happening, you're like, oh my God. And so having the coach there, like to be able to text you and to be able to talk to you the next day, and then you're like, okay, we feel good about this because this is why. And then we saw something happen. We're like, oh my God, he fell asleep. And so that's why, working with you, I think we made the right choice. And I mean, he's sleeping now. So at night, he's sleeping like 11 hours. So
I know.
what else is there to say?
Yeah, what else is there to say? Like proof in the pudding. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I find that like the accountability, like having that person to talk to the next day, right? So you can ask all your questions, you can review everything, you can get reflections on why he did what he did from a sleep science point of view and a behavioral science point of view, so that you aren't just second guessing yourself and having all this doubt or confusion. It's like, oh, this is what he did. This is why he did it. This is how we need to either emulate that tonight or change things tonight to get a different result. Like it's very systematic and sequential. And when we take one day at a time and we're like evaluating all the data from the sleep logs one day at a time, then we can make these small incremental steps that then add up over time to the child sleeping through the night and doing a wean. He was co-sleeping and nursing all night long.
Yeah.
And within 10 days, he was sleeping 11 hours at night he had still at his bedtime feed. He still had his feed in the morning. So we did not jeopardize her nursing relationship at all. And that's huge for me. Like I do not I honor the nursing relationship and I marry the nursing relationship with the sleep plan. But we got him those nighttime feeds that were just draining mom. She was so physically and emotionally exhausted. We were able to very, very gently over 10 days wean down. And then that felt good for her breast. It felt good to her heart. And it was easier on the baby. Right. So that was awesome. Okay. And then so on that note, like, what does it look like now? Like, what time does he go to bed? How long is he sleeping? Is bedtime easy? Like, give me like the snapshot of how easy bedtime is now.
So it depends when he goes to bed based on what you taught us is like, it depends when he wakes up from his last nap. So we try to time that. So we notice the signs. And again, you taught us that. And so I'd say the range is between 7 and 7:45 that he goes to bed.
And he's sleeping 11 hours.
And he sleeps about 11. It's between 10 and 11 hours. He does wake up through the night, but honestly, I haven't gone in the room in so long because he just puts himself back to sleep. Like you can watch his system that he sort of created on his own, like figuring out how he's going to soothe himself to sleep, which is super adorable. But it's great to watch and feel comforted that, like he's going to be okay. And he's in his own space and, it's amazing. Like,
well, and you noticed because you guys have the video monitor. You told me the other day that you noticed that he actually sleeps more soundly now, that he's not doing his little infinity running around. Like he's really quite comfortable in his crib and having a solid sleep.
Yeah, so we use the Nanit, which we weren't even looking at it until anyway. So we got the Nanit and it gives you those sleep statistics and the statistics are good. And so it is great seeing that because you got to get a visual of it. And it tracks it over time and it's just getting better and better. So
it's getting better and
better. He gets to sleep faster. He stays asleep longer. And it's like he's just calmer throughout the day. Like
that was another thing. Yeah. So that's what kind of my next question is, what are you noticing? Like what's possible in your life now that wasn't possible before? Like one thing you noticed is that he's just calmer and more fun to be with during the day. That hyper energy is gone.
Right. I think, before that we would leave him with a video monitor, but he wasn't in a crib, right? Because we were co-sleeping. And so we had like his little bed, but you were always worried. I mean, if he moved, you had to jump up and you had to go check on him and make sure that nothing was happening. And we had to get him back to sleep by crutching him again. So now, like, you just don't even worry about it. Like he's in his crib, he'll figure it out. And so we have our nights back. I mean, basically what it comes down to. We know he's sleeping, we know he's safe. We will watch him and observe him because it's fun. And it's, again, adorable to watch. But, we can have our life and kind of do more things. I mean, just even cleaning or something simple like that. So, it's
and I also
just having time back. And
I remember, you have your time back, right? You have your nights back, you have your time back. And I remember you telling me that like, I think you had to play like a Cat Stevens song, like over and over again. And now Cat Stevens is now off the menu, right?
Hope I never hear that song again.
Yeah. For 9 months, it was the Cat Stevens song.
Yeah. It's in my head forever, but hopefully leaving.
So that's good. So that's definitely a change. Okay. So if you were to meet a really exhausted parent and they're like, oh my gosh, we don't know what to do. We're kind of scared. We need to do something, but we don't know where to go. Like, what do you want to tell them about like sleep training, or what do you want to tell them about working with me so that
Yeah.
they would not be scared and that they would move forward to get good sleep?
It just so happens this is an actual story because I just talked to my coworker who has a 6-month-old baby and they're not getting any sleep. They have to hold him to sleep the whole time. Like, they literally has to be held, and they're both wrecked. And they're starting to, it's straining their relationship, and they don't have any sleep, and he's trying to function, and he's only been in this job for like a couple months. So that's been really challenging. So what I talked to him about was that, there is another way. Like, you don't have to live like this. The other thing is that, if you're going to go and approach, and they're just the type of people, like, because we talked about it more, that he wanted an approach where it's like, because they're holding their son all night long, they don't feel comfortable just doing something where they're going to leave the room and let him cry it out. So being in the room, like the style that you provide, or the style that you're teaching and what you're teaching, is that you can be there and comfort your child, and then slowly sort of transition to them sleeping by themselves. So, and that was peace of mind for him. And that's the same thing we were looking for. So that is kind of what I, putting in the real world scenario, that is exactly what I was trying to relay to them and explain to him.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I love what you said, peace of mind, right? That doing this is to the benefit of the child, as well as to the benefit to the family system.
Right.
And that the child is going to be safe and cared for, that it's going to be gentle, slow, careful, considerate, compassionate, right? Both to the mom, to the baby, to the dad, right? And that moving at the pace that's appropriate for the whole family, but still wanting to get the beautiful, blissful sleep, which is where we need to be for his healthy growth and development. And I should say, like, let's celebrate that right on the heels of sleep training, which is very common when the child like really clears their sleep debt and is sleeping like a champ and just getting all their sleep needs met. Usually a milestone is right behind it. And this kid took his first steps 12 days after we got him sleeping through like 12 days after sleeping through the night.
Yeah.
I started laughing because I'm like, oh no, now there's going to be, a milestone regression, but it also is proof that he was ready to go do this big thing. At 10 months, at nearly 10, not even 10 months, he's going to be walking. And that's all possible because he's getting really consolidated sleep. So that's just awesome.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a little scary because he might be walking sooner than we expected, but it is amazing that.
And they're planning a big international trip, and they're worried about, like, are they going to be on the airplane, like going up and down the hallway, like the aisle with this like little itsy bitsy baby that's like running at like, 11 months old. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, Christian, was wonderful. Thank you for sharing your story and for trusting me to be your guide in this family sleep transformation. Thank you.
And thank you for everything. It's been amazing.
Awesome.